Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a thriller film, Memoir of a Murderer. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. A cold-hearted old man, nicknamed Uncle Oblivion, has a daughter and is slowly losing his memories. Sometimes he temporarily forgets everything. One day, he finds himself lost at a police station. He cannot even remember his trusted friend police officer called Officer. His worried daughter, short-named Daughter, comes to pick him up. Later, as they eat together, Daughter gives him a recorder, so he can record his activities and remember them later on. Then, she gives him a necklace with an address with it, hoping that in that way, he will not be lost when he temporarily loses his memory. 3 months ago, the doctor informed him that he had dementia. The doctor also finds out about his head surgery in the past, which might be the cause of his dementia. It turns out that he was in a car accident years ago that damaged his head. Back at present, the news broadcasts the recent murder case in their area. Apparently, a bloody murderer is possibly roaming around trying to find his next victim. As Uncle Oblivion sees the news, his face shows great concern. When Daughter leaves, he is worried about her safety due to the murderer at large. It turns out he was also a murderer in the past. His first murder victim was his father. In his teenage years, he saw his mother and sister in a miserable condition while his drunk father was sleeping. As he took his beloved white training shoe from his father's head, his father woke up in outrage. His father then violently beat him. When his father dragged him into another room, he furiously choked his father to death. Then he buried his father. After that, no one came to arrest him, and his family lived a peaceful life. Since that moment, he realized that some murders are needed in the world, so he continued to murder evil people who deserve to die. Then, he buried their dead bodies in his bamboo grove. At present, he lives a normal life as a veterinarian. Now he saves animal lives. Daughter brings him food at his work. He cold-heartedly refuses to eat it, but when she leaves, he gladly munches the food. She sees him eating the food from the window, so she happily goes back to eat with him. After that, he forgets to give medicine to the sick cat, making it die in the end. He then just decides to retire from his job. Now he attends a poetry class where the instructor recites his poem about murdering someone. In his mind, he is thinking about murdering the annoying instructor, while a woman in the class, nicknamed Sugar, finds him attractive. He reveals that he tends to react late to things. Sugar tells him that she likes the metaphor in his poem. He reveals that it is not a metaphor, but his experience. She laughs loudly, thinking he is joking. However, she annoys him. In his mind, he is thinking about murdering her. Then, he remembers his final murder. His final victim was a woman, but he cannot remember the reason why he murdered her. After he buried the woman in the bamboo grove, he drove towards his home. Along the way, the accident happened, which severely injured his head. Even with injuries, he still managed to reach home where the young daughter awaited him. Back to the present, there is an unknown man who strangles a helpless woman to death. In the next scene, Uncle Oblivion accidentally hits a white car on a foggy road. As he checks the white car, he sees a bag in its trunk that seems to be containing a body. He gets a sample of the blood dripping from the trunk using a tissue. The driver of the white car, named Guy, comes to explain that the bag contains a deer. As Guy drives away, he records every detail of the event, suspecting that Guy is a killer. Later on, he confirms that the blood is human blood by testing it on a microscope. After that, he researches on the recent murder case in their area. He thinks that Daughter can be his next target, so he anonymously reports Guy to the police. It turns out Guy is actually a police officer, so his fellow police officers just laugh around at the report. While frying his phone, Uncle Oblivion receives a call from his phone. As it appears, Guy anonymously calls him to tell him about the result of the investigation, telling him that the trunk only carries a deer. Then he goes to the foggy road to investigate it by himself. As a former murderer, he knows well how a murderer thinks. He knows that the murderer drains the victim's blood to reduce its weight to transport easily. After that, he speculates that the murderer will dump the body on the lake at the end of the road. When he surveys the lakeside, he finds a woman's body. After that, the police receive an anonymous tip about the location of the woman's body. Later, Guy visits Uncle Oblivion's veterinary clinic with his cute kitty, but the clinic is already closed. There, he accidentally encounters Daughter. She informs him that the clinic is closed since Uncle Oblivion is sick. Meanwhile, Uncle Oblivion personally asks Officer for a favor to investigate the white car. Officer takes the information. Then, Officer jokingly checks if he is in a normal state, and they just laugh around together. As the night comes, Daughter is walking alone. Guy passes through and offers her a ride towards her home. She then rides his car. At home, Uncle Oblivion anxiously waits for daughter to come home. Then he sees his final victim walking towards his home. He chokes her furiously, but it turns out that he is hallucinating. He realizes that he is choking daughter. The following day, Uncle Oblivion is thinking of going to a nursing home since his condition is getting worse, but daughter insists on taking care of him. Later, he comes to visit his sister at the convent. He is sitting on a bench and eating sushi while talking to his sister. As he is about to leave, he leaves his sushi on the bench. After that, he attends the poetry class. After the class, Sugar follows him to his car. Sugar asks him about things he likes. He answers that he likes killing. He suddenly stops when he sees daughter dating Guy on the streets. He immediately goes out to take daughter from Guy, but his dementia attacks again, so he just leaves them alone and drives away. Along the way, he also forgets the old lady Sugar. He then leaves her alone in the middle of nowhere. Meanwhile, Guy reveals to daughter that he already encounters Uncle Oblivion in the foggy road. She reveals to him that Uncle Oblivion has dementia, so he forgot Guy earlier. She also tells him about Uncle Oblivion's bamboo grove. Guy then is in deep thought as he receives this information. In the meantime, Uncle Oblivion is having a nice conversation with Officer. As Officer is about to leave, he tells Uncle Oblivion about the result of his request, that is, the owner of the white car is Guy. At that moment, he also forgets about his request, but the name of Guy greatly intrigues him. So he listens to his recorder. Thanks to that, he remembers that Guy is a killer. As he realizes that daughter is with Guy, he immediately calls her. She tells him that she is in the theater. He rushes to the theater to find her, but when he arrives there, his dementia strikes him again. He then forgets why he is there, so he just watches along with the movie. He is laughing late in every funny scene. At the end of the movie, he is sobbing. As he wonders why he is crying, he remembers that he went there to find daughter. So he rushes to the police station to seek help. There, he finds himself caught up in the middle of a fun fight. Meanwhile, police officer happily plays with his cute dog amidst the chaos. Then he receives a call from daughter. At home, he sees daughter waiting for him. He angrily insists to her that she needs to get away from Guy, since Guy is a murderer. It turns out that Guy says to her that Uncle Oblivion is the killer, but she doesn't want to believe that Uncle Oblivion is a bad person. The following day, Uncle Oblivion asks Officer to test the blood sample from Guy's car, so he can confirm that Guy is a killer. The results would come out after a week. Later, when he picks up daughter from her work, he sees her dating Guy again. He immediately drags her to the car. Then he frankly tells Guy to leave daughter and her hormones alone. In the car, daughter keeps defending Guy. She thinks that he is a good guy with a good hormone smell, but Uncle Oblivion tells her to wait for a week to know whether he is a good guy or not. After that, he spies on Guy at his house. He seemingly plans to kill him, but his dementia attacks again. Several weeks later, he completely forgets Guy again. Apparently, Guy and daughter are about to get married. He is even supportive of their marriage. But when he remembers everything again, he plans to kill Guy with the lethal chemicals. However, as he sees daughter, he does not proceed with killing him. Later, when Guy leaves, Uncle Oblivion notices red marks on daughter's neck. Apparently, she gets it when he strangles her during his memory loss. In fear that he might kill daughter, he puts her picture in the necklace as a reminder. After that, Officer reveals to him the test result that the blood sample is from an animal rather than a human. The result devastates him. At his home, he is acting like crazy as he starts to question his sanity. Then his sister arrives to comfort him. In his sleep, he has a nightmare about his father. When he wakes from the nightmare, he finds himself tied up in the wall. In front of him, Guy is reading his journal. Guy admits that he swapped the blood sample with deer blood. Then, Guy threatens to kill daughter. After that, Guy sedates him. As he wakes up, he finds himself alone in the room. Then he immediately drags daughter to the taxi. He tells her to stay in his sister's convent for a while. When they are about to leave, he tells his sister to take care of daughter. Knowing that danger, he plans to kill Guy before he loses his memory. As Guy drives away, he quickly follows him. Guy stops at a house in the middle of nowhere. There, he sees Guy take out a suitcase that appears to be containing a body. When Guy drives away, he sneaks inside the house, where he finds a camera recorder. He finds footage of Sugar begging for her life, as the murderer is about to kill her. The following day, he shows the footage to Officer to prove that Guy killed Sugar. It turns out, Guy has an alibi. They then suspect that Uncle Oblivion killed Sugar, as she receives a call from him on the day of her murder. Guy also thinks that Uncle Oblivion did something bad to daughter, as she went missing for days. This forces Officer to ask him where she is. He then reveals that daughter is at his sister's convent, but it turns out that Guy knows that his sister already died at a young age. To prove that his sister exists, he tries to call her, but her contact number is nowhere to be found on his phone. In his memory, he knows that his sister exists, To confirm, he immediately drives towards the convent. When he arrives at the convent, he is surprised to find nothing there but an old building and the sushi he left on the bench. He then realizes that his sister committed suicide. At this moment, he questions his sanity again. He starts to think that he truly murdered Sugar and daughter. Later, along the road, he remembers that his final victim was his wife, since his wife cheated on him. He also remembers that he is not daughter's real father. So when he got home after murdering his wife, he attempted to murder daughter. But he stopped at that time as he suddenly forgot everything. Since then, he just lived with daughter, thinking that she's his real daughter. As he remembers it, he starts to believe that he murdered daughter. Meanwhile, the police officers find Sugar's body in his bamboo grove, adding up to the suspicion that he murdered her. As he listens to the recordings of his memories, he suddenly feels guilty. He then tries to kill himself, but he stops when he hears Guy confessing that he is a murderer in his recorder. In the meantime, Guy tells officer that they need to arrest Uncle Oblivion when he presents additional evidence against him. When the arresting officers come, Uncle Oblivion beats them down. Then he tries his best to remember where he gave daughter. He then realizes that he unknowingly gave her to Guy, thinking that Guy's car is a luxurious taxi. After that, he calls officer to inform him that Guy is holding daughter. To prove this, he lets officer listen to the recorder where Guy threatens to kill her. So officer secretly follows Guy as he drives towards his home. When Guy arrives at his home, he convinces daughter that Uncle Oblivion is a murderer. Meanwhile, officer sneaks inside his home. In a call, he informs Uncle Oblivion that he finds daughter. Suddenly, Guy appears behind him and strangles him to death. As daughter sees it, she quickly runs away, but Guy catches her outside. After that, while she is tied up, Guy shows his damaged head to her. It turns out that his mother abused him and smashed his head with an iron when he was a kid, making him a woman hater. Suddenly, she disappears when he looks behind. When he goes to find her in his car, Uncle Oblivion arrives and hits his car. He becomes unconscious, while Uncle Oblivion proceeds to find daughter inside. As Uncle Oblivion finds her hiding, his dementia strikes again, making him forget everything. So when Guy goes inside and asks him where she is, he points out where she is hiding. Suddenly, Guy strangles him. Daughter calls Uncle Oblivion Daddy, making him remember everything again. He fights back using his gun, but he misses the shot. Guy then beats him up. Daughter tries to help, but Guy is too strong that he just throws her ass up. After that, Guy beats him up again until he can't do anything. As Guy knows that Uncle Oblivion is powerless, he decides to kill daughter in front of him, but Uncle Oblivion still tries his best to stop him. He then gathers up his remaining strength to wrestle Guy. Guy tries to fight back by stabbing him using a sharp bottle. He then just pulls the bottle out of his body and uses it to repeatedly stab Guy until he kills him. The scene horrifies daughter as if she sees a monster in him. This makes her realize that he was a serial killer in the past. To comfort her, he emotionally admits to her that he is not her real father. This means that she is not a daughter of a murderer, so there is nothing to be ashamed about. After that, the police come to the scene, arresting him. Sometime later, Uncle Oblivion is in prison talking to a prosecutor. Meanwhile, daughter listens to his last recording. This makes her realize how much he cares about her, so she comes to visit him in the prison. But his dementia worsens. He thinks that he is a young boy, and he recognizes her as his sister. After that, Uncle Oblivion attempts to kill himself, but he stops as he seemingly questions his memory about killing Guy. The movie ends where he appears to be released from prison. He is walking in a snowy tunnel. At the other end, Guy appears in front of him. He checks the necklace given by daughter where he sees Guy's picture. In the end, thinking that his memories are unreliable, he tells himself, "Never trust your memory. Guy is still alive." This is Daniel's CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.